I'm pleased to see so many beautiful faces here, Monday morning, bright and early. And I'm kind of going to motivate you to consider a career in procurement for those of you that haven't considered, and those that are already in it, trying to motivate you to maintain that stance because you've made the perfect choice. What I'll be talking today about would basically be on work and career opportunities in this field. And a lot of you would already know about public procurement, so I'm not going to bother with that aspect. But for those of you that may be, I understand there's some undergraduate students here who are thinking about transitioning from academic life into gainful employment so they don't have to ask mom and dad for that little money at the end of the month. So I'll just talk about briefly what procurement is all about. In simple terms, it's about how an entity, when it involves a public body, that's when it's called public procurement. When it involves a private organization, private procurement. How an entity obtains the requirements that it needs to function. For example, Bangor University, how does it buy the chairs that you are sitting on this morning? So that's, in very simple terms, that's what public procurement is about. But it can extensively go beyond the terms of just buying and selling into engagement of services that are of very strategic importance to an organization. If you go to the hospital, for example, you will need very dedicated equipment, and it might not be on a mere purchase basis, but more of a transaction that would last a lifetime. But in simple terms, think about it as buying, getting into an organization all the requirements that are needed for the function of that organization. So with that brief intro out of the way, why public procurement? Why would I encourage a student to look into a career in this field? Principally because procurement is at the core of any organization. From the strategic level up till even the mere administrative level, if an organization does not have the requirement that it needs to meet to deliver its functions, then it's of no use to either the shareholders that own the business or the public body that depend on the delivery of its services. And a procurement career places you in that unique strategic position to be able to impact lives, whether in terms of profit making to a private organization or in terms of delivery of functions and services to public sector organizations. You see the ladder going up into the sky. I see it as the ultimate profession. And the beautiful thing about this profession is that you can come into it from any angle. Whether you're a lawyer, whether you're a strategist, whether you're a programmer. It's such a wonderful profession that my colleague, Dr. Tellers, will be talking about the skills needed. You can bring in a wealth of skills from different training and then impact on influencing the way your organization meets its daily requirements. So you can see how important it is. It's something that you should desire and motivate yourself to go into. Now, what about the opportunities? I've got a list of so many opportunities, so many strategic things you can do. Normally, I'm a lawyer, but I have translated or transformed my legal skills into something of benefit to organization. And that's how procurement enables you to function. You could become a procurement intern. One of Mr. Gunther will be talking today about internship opportunities, for example, with the Welsh government. And this is where you can actually, if you're an undergraduate leaving school, you can inculcate into yourself new skills that are relevant. Fresh from the school, buzzing to go, you can actually influence policies and impact things. You can become a barrister or a solicitor in this field. For those of you studying law and are thinking about specializing in one field of law, this is something you could go on to do. For those of you who don't like the concept of public sector, you feel it's so constricting, You can go in to become a supply chain manager or a contracts manager if you are into negotiating and those aspects of things. Compliance officers, regularly, it's becoming a very important area where you've got to comply with, or as an organization, the organization has to comply with different policies and processes. And studying procurement could enable you to function in those sort of roles. We go on to the strategies. These are the high level, the thinkers of the organization. You have to think about how to influence the bottom line of the organization, if it's private sector, if it's public sector, how to deliver the strategic goals and aims of that organization. Well, in very lean times, unfortunately, status quo can't be maintained. We can't continue spending the amount of money we've been spending in previous years. So you could be one of the future generations that will become a strategist and influence how things evolve in the future. Be consultant, you may think, oh no, I'm not one for working for people. I will like after school to set up something on my own. That's an ideal profession. I know bid consultants earn quite a lot. What basically you do is for people that are interested, organizations that are interested in contracting for other organizations, you become a specialist helping them to draft tender documentations that would scale them through the hurdle of winning public sector contracts. So you are actually enabling small businesses, big businesses, whatever you may want to describe them, to actually achieve something that meets their profit margins. You go on to the procurement officers, day-to-day management of procurement in organizations, a term that's most frequently used in public sector, but maybe also used in the private sector. I've got the analysts and the specialists, and this is something that is very interesting to me because you find out that if you are interested in an organization, for example, the police, some of us, I mean, I would have loved to be a police officer, but I'm sure if you see me, I wouldn't look threatening enough. So you probably disobey me. So if I wanted to function in that kind of role and contribute to the strategic functions of the police force, that's something I could go and do, you know, becoming a procurement analyst. The part I would love to work would be with the guns. You can see some devilish tricks there. And where I have ended in, and where most of my colleagues in the room today have ended in, you can actually go into research and academia. And I think that is very fulfilling. Because the benefit of that is that irrespective of what your interest is, you can actually research an area. The categories of what you can research in public procurement are always expanding. I mean, the 4 students today that would be presenting their papers, you see them cutting across all sorts of fields, from WTO to IPPs to social procurement in Nigeria. The list is endless. So if there is something of particular interest that you have a flair for, you can decide to research that aspect. And obviously, you can follow our pathway and become a lecturer one day. The choice is yours. Basically, what am I presenting to you? The endless possibilities that can be achieved from just one profession, the procurement function. You're thinking, oh, I've heard so much about these possibilities. Now, how do I access those opportunities? And what I've just done is that I've given you a list of national opportunities where you can access them. For example, a lot of students don't understand that there are a wide range of internship and graduate programs in this field. Just get on the net and do a search. You can access a wide range. Don't be discouraged by the number of potential applicants that may apply. You might just be the one that would get in. Also, I've put in a lot of useful websites. The procurement.tv website, what is interesting about them is that they feature both national and international opportunities. So as of last night, I actually did a search myself. There were quite a few in the UK that you could get into. the job starting the civil service. This is potentially for those of you that may want a civil service career. You can start off somewhere there. And GPS is a dedicated procurement website run by the Chartered Institute of Purchasing and Supply Management, and they feature all sorts of roles, as well as the graduate procurement website too. So these are potential areas that you could explore. I think a lot of times as students, we tend to say there are no opportunities out there, but we've got to become creative about the few opportunities that may present themselves and then access them. So you've just got a lot of them there. The next slide, what I want to do is actually to show you another way of accessing these markets. My first procurement role wasn't done through a direct employer. I went through an agency. And frequently, by the time you listen to Dr. Teles, you will find out that even if you are about graduating, you already possess some of the most essential skills that are required to function in procurement. So it is left for you to communicate those skills on a CV in a way that will be attractive to a potential employer. You can work with any of these agencies. The good thing about the agencies is that they are always scampering for good candidates. So and I have put up here specialist procurement agencies. They deal with other roles and functions, but they also have a very strong interest in procurement. So if you're a young graduate, make a good CV, send it to any of these people, and you'll see potential for a call up for an interview. They would assess your skills and see where you could potentially start from. Who knows the kind of opportunities that would open up to you in the future. Michael Page, I would particularly recommend them if you wanted to explore careers outside the UK as well. Because what happens is that they put you on a database, and based on the skill sets that you demonstrate, they can actually then refer. I get calls from them saying, do you want somewhere in Kurdistan, Iraq, Afghanistan? And I'm like, not yet. So, but if you're willing to explore the world, procurement is a field that you can go into. International opportunities. Again, internships are a very good way to getting into this. The UN and the World Bank, obviously you wouldn't be paid in the initial point, at the initial onset, but get yourself into there, and once you're there, you can then navigate the ladder and then look for future opportunities. What I'm basically printing out for you here, or pointing out for you here, are the endless possibilities. Don't confine yourself to, restricting your mind that there are no jobs in this field, because if you explore, the opportunities are there. Crown agents, they are particularly important, and I have brought them out because they're doing a lot of work. They've taken over the market in developing countries. Most of you from the UK may not know that not everywhere has such a developed procurement system as what we have here. And for emerging markets that are just streamlining their procurement processes, there is a great need for the skills that procurement personnel possess. So Crown agents actually do a lot of offshore activities where they send you out into the widest part of the world to go and explore. And it can be exciting or daunting, as the case may be. Now, I'll just talk briefly about study opportunity, because obviously if you want to grow and if you want a career that you won't just be ticking the box or just be administrative, but you want to use your brain strategically, you will need to develop yourself into a level that you compete with the best candidates in the market. Obviously, I'll have to start with Charity Begins at Home, Bangor University. You have a great network of offers here. We have a dedicated program, the LLM in Public Procurement Law and Strategy, as well as the executive arm. I'm very pleased this morning to see a number of my students, and if you wish to talk to them at the end of the day, we can always refer you to a couple. But the exciting thing about this program is that, for me personally, is that it's engaging your brain. A lot of these people have, especially the executive people, candidates, have been already involved in public procurement, but they are using the opportunity of the program to reassess the learnings they have on the job. And sometimes, frequently, I just go up to them and say, today's session, did you benefit from something? It's actually made me think about what I'm doing in the office, whether it is in compliance with the role. And I get that self-satisfaction that, they are self-evaluating, and there is no other better form of assessment than self-evaluation. If you can't sit down and evaluate what you're doing and say, am I doing it properly in line with what I'm supposed to do, then it's a great skill set that you have developed. So talk to us. We have the LLM in Public Procurement Law and Strategy. The number of brochures at the end, at the back of the table. This is for previous years, but we don't expect the format of the program to change substantially from what we have in place. Beyond there, you've got other institutions that offer. What I've done is you will find a range of study opportunities, not in terms of a master's in law, but in terms of maybe master's in strategic procurement. Some institutions also offer elements of public procurement as part of their overall module. I haven't featured them here because if you just go on the internet, you can find, but I would recommend you stay back in Bangor. It's a great opportunity. Go further with us, and we would support you as the days go by. So I think that's just it, and I'll be available during the breakout session for discussion. Some of my other colleagues will be here to come and ask us questions about what you may have, what fears you may have regarding this profession. I'm sure we'll be able to settle that. Thank you.